Mega Froslass is one of the best brand new Mega Evolutions introduced in Pokemon Champions. It's got one of the highest base special attack and speed stats among the Mega Evolutions, and it gets access to an incredible ability, allowing you to set up the snow when you Mega Evolve. This means both 100% accurate blizzards as well as the ability to set up Aurora Veil, making your team even bulkier. I'm here today to show you why Mega Froslass can be a huge threat in this format, especially when supported by other Pokemon that can use Blizzard, like Choice Scarf Rotom-Frost, as well as bulky Pokemon like Leftovers Competitive Empoleon. Hey guys, Aaron CybertronVGC here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online Pokemon VGC Champions ladder and provide live commentary as I go. This video will focus around a Mega Froslass team. I recently covered 15 different teams that I thought were strong for you to try out in Pokemon Champions, and this was the team that people showed most interest in, so I wanted to cover it as quickly as possible. If you haven't seen that video, by the way, that's linked down in the description below, as well as a bunch of other videos I've been making in the last week. We're doing all kinds of battling content on this channel. I've already covered Mega Floette, Mega Delphox, and Mega Charizard plus Venusaur. Right now, I'm focused on just covering a lot of really strong strategies in the early days of the format, but of course, I also want to venture into more niche Mega Evolutions and fun strategies as well. So if there's anything you want to see in particular, let me know down in the comment section below. As always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps down in the description below. And thanks so much as always for joining me. If you enjoy, I'd really appreciate if you consider leaving a like in the video or subscribing to the channel. It really helps out a ton. It's honestly been a super fun first week of Champions for me, and in this full-time era, I've really had a blast, so appreciate you all for coming on, watching the content, for leaving such positive comments, and for giving me really good feedback on the videos as well. I hear you on the noise levels between the game audio and the music audio, as well as my voice levels. Also hear you on changing the game audio, and so appreciate everyone for bringing these things up to me as we try to continue and make the content even better for all of you. But without further ado, let's talk about Mega Froslass. If you're interested in trying out the team yourself, you can use this replica code in the middle of the screen, of course, to get the team in game. Now, this team is fun because it has a bunch of really unique elements, Pokemon that I have not seen or really tried at all in this format so far, and that includes Choice Scarf Rotom-Frost as well as competitive Leftovers Empoleon. Rotom-Frost with that Choice Scarf, really nice because it is able to, first of all, of course, be able to spam Blizzard alongside Froslass. I think when you are using Mega Froslass, having another Pokemon that can click Blizzard is really nice, and it gives you really good speed control. It means that you can Electro Web and drop your opponent's speed, allowing Froslass then to outpace Pokemon that are even normally quite fast, like Choice Scarf Pokemon or like Aerodactyl or Max Speed Sneasler, to name a couple. Mega Froslass is a Pokemon that is, I think, pretty standard in terms of how people are using it right now, with Blizzard, Shadow Ball, Aurora Veil, Protect being the default. There's a lot of different ways that you can train this Pokemon, but this set just opts for max speed, max special attack. It's modest, so you really just aim to hit as hard as possible. The team also has this very unique set in competitive Leftovers Empoleon. The idea behind this Empoleon is that it can soak up damage quite nicely when you set up the Aurora Veil, and you also can do a lot of damage should your opponent activate competitive at any given point. Now, of course, Incineroar is one of the most common Pokemon in the format. People use that especially if they're going to see Froslass, Rotom, Garchomp in Team Preview. And so if you are able to bait out an Incineroar, get competitive activated, it can often actually just dish out so much damage and get one-hit knockouts onto a lot of Pokemon in the format. Kingambit also exists on this team as another way to deter those Incineroars and say, if you bring Incineroar, I can capitalize off it. This Kingambit notably is actually max attack, max speed, adamant nature, rather than the super bulky Kingambits. And the reason for this is because you are running Focus Sash on it, and so allows for you to get two big attacks off often and also surprise your opponents by outspeeding Pokemon in the Kingambit speed tier range. Pokemon like Incineroar and Tyranitar, for example. Finally, to round things out, you've got a classic Citrus Berry Incineroar. Just note that this is a little bit more offensive with a lot of attack investment, no speed investment, and you've got a Garchomp here with White Herb as well. Let's jolly max speed. White Herb just gives you another Incineroar answer. So basically, when you look at Froslass and Rotom as a duo, Incineroar and Fire types are often going to come up as like the primary counter to them, and so the rest of the team is designed in a way to really cover for those, right? You've got Intimidate from your Incineroar to neutralize their damage output. You've got Garchomp, which deals super effective damage into them, and then you've got Empoleon and Kingambit, both which can capitalize off of them. So nothing too crazy about the spreads here. I think if you wanted to modify them, you could probably move some offense away from Froslass and Rotom into defenses to synergize better with Aurora Veil, and so that's one thing that you can consider, for example. But overall, I think this is a really fun early meta team, and Froslass and Rotom often can just take over games for you. In terms of ways of playing with the team, your go-to lead is going to be Mega Froslass and Rotom-Frost. The idea behind this lead is that you have a ton of different options on turn 1. For example, you can just Mega Evolve Froslass and click Blizzard with both Pokemon immediately if your opponent does not have good Pokemon that match up well offensively into these two. You can also Aurora Veil with Froslass while Blizzarding with the Rotom. You can Electro Web with Rotom while Blizzarding. You can also Volt Switch with Rotom, bring in Instant or Garchomp while setting up Aurora Veil with the Froslass. So what's really nice about this lead is that like there is a strong play for most different things that you can go up against, right? And if your opponent leads things that counter this duo, well, you can pivot out pretty quickly with the Aurora Veil Volt Switch combination. Instant plus Garchomp are pretty effective Pokemon to have in the back a lot of times because Instant is just a really good defensive backbone, and Garchomp covers for a lot of Rotom and Frostlass's weaknesses. So you can go for something like Volt Switch, Aurora Veil, bring in Garchomp, and then Garchomp suddenly is applying massive amounts of offensive pressure. Froslass and Incineroar is also an effective lead. It's a little bit more defensive if you want to just try to set up that Aurora Veil with Fake Out plus Aurora Veil on turn 1, for example. Rotom is obviously a good Pokemon to have in the back, and then you can decide between Garchomp, Empoleon, or Kingambit. Generally, my heuristic for Kingambit / Empoleon is, does my opponent have one or multiple ways to activate Competitive and Defiant? Do they have an Incineroar that I think is likely to come out in the battle? Do they have other moves that can drop my stats? If so, I'm probably more compelled to go with Empoleon or Kingambit, and if not, I'll probably go with Garchomp. Kingambit also has low kick, so one of the things I think about is, can I get value out of low kick, because that's a really powerful surprise move given how fast Kingambit is as well, and that often can basically make or break my decision as to whether or not I bring it or not into a battle. You, of course, don't always have to lead with Mega Froslass, although I do think it is one of the more common leads. You can go with Rotom and Garchomp, which allows you to just immediately Earthquake while not harming your partner. This means you can go for combos like Electro Web into Earthquake, Electro Web into Rock Slide, Thunderbolt into Earthquake, Thunderbolt into Rock Slide, etc. This is just a fast-paced lead that allows you to apply a lot of pressure while not immediately leading to ice types that can be, of course, weak to a lot of common Pokemon in the format. Then you can have Froslass and Incineroar in the back. And another way you can play is leading Froslass with one of Kingambit or Empoleon with Rotom and Garchomp in the back. This is good if you think your opponent wants to lead Incineroar or Intimidate in general, and you think you can get a Competitive or Defiant boost and then just set up Aurora Veil to make Kingambit and Empoleon even more difficult to deal with. So, as you can see, there's a lot of flexibility in how you can play with the team, and the beauty of Froslass is how it is very offensive, but it can also set up the team well defensively. In terms of weaknesses and things to watch out for, the first thing I want to call out is Tailwind and Hyper Offense, because this is, I think, maybe the #1 weakness of among all the different archetypes I've played against so far. And the idea is simple. You just set up Tailwind with something like Talonflame or Whimsicott, and then you use really powerful spread attackers like Mega Floette's Dazzling Gleam, Blastoise's Water Spout to just spread damage and knock you out before you get the chance to move. You don't really have bulk on Pokemon like Froslass and Rotom, and that's because the goal was for them to outspeed you and get knockouts most of the time. So when you add Tailwind to the equation, it becomes infinitely more challenging. So I think, yeah, if you see a Talonflame or Whimsicott on your opponent's team, you have to be really, really careful, and there's just not a lot of great defensive counterplay to it, to be honest, because there's not a lot of bulk to work with. So this to me is probably like the #1 counter to this team, and a good example of this is the Mega Floette team that I featured on this channel. That can really just go through this team so quickly thanks to how fast-paced everything is. Opposing weather isn't inherently a weakness in the sense that if you play smartly with Froslass, you can actually get a really big edge with it, but you don't get to mindlessly click the Mega Evolution button like you can in other matchups. Mega Tyranitar, Mega Charizard, both being Megas that can, of course, override your weather, can be really scary, and both of those threaten you with super effective damage as well, right? So one of the things you have to think about with Froslass is, can I bait my opponent's Mega Evolution and not Mega Evolve first, then I can subsequently Mega Evolve and then win the weather war. It's one big piece of playing with this Pokemon. Yeah, just because you go up against weather, it doesn't mean that, like, it is just doomed, right? Because, like, if you actually time it well, you can give yourself a really big advantage, but that it comes down to, like, 1 or 2 really crucial turns on when both you and your opponent Mega Evolve. Defensive options, of course, include things like Wide Guard. Wide Guard can stop a lot of your biggest attacks, whether it be Blizzard, Rock Slide, or Earthquake, and so if you are able to get effective Wide Guards off against this team, it can be really scary. Rotom-Frost in particular is a Pokemon that can really start struggling if you have good defensive switch-ins, right? So let's say like you have Froslass and Rotom, and instead of Volt Switching, you decide you want to commit to Blizzard, and all of a sudden your opponent switches in something that resists Blizzard. Well, then Rotom-Frost is just stuck on the field the next turn and is often forced to switch, and that's something your opponents can capitalize off of. And then finally, Rotom-Frost and Froslass in particular just struggle against things like fire and steel types because these Pokemon can soak up damage and of course deal massive amounts of damage in return. Mega Delphox is a really good example where it can just outpace Froslass and threaten you with a knockout with Heat Wave immediately, and so you have to be careful about that. Incineroar is something that can soak up a lot of damage, and this team actually has a ton of anti-Incineroar in White Herb, Garchomp, as well as the Empoleon King Gambit, so it's not to say Incineroar just like beats the team. It's more like if you let Incineroar come out against that specific combo and you don't have your Garchomp out on the field, or no King Gambit, no Empoleon, then Incineroar will match up well against it. Aegislash is another interesting example where it gets access to Wide Guard, it gets access to super effective hits, and is not going to take a lot of damage in return from like the ice type attacks. Of course, Froslass can Shadow Ball it, so that's one big plus, but just keep that in mind. And because the Rotom and Froslass on this team do not really have bulk, even if you set up Aurora Veil, you will still be taking a ton of damage, and so just keep that in mind where it's like maybe it turns 1-hit knockouts into 2-hit knockouts, but you shouldn't be expecting to survive a lot of like ultra powerful attacks because you just don't have that much bulk to work with on those Pokemon. We've got a Blastoise team here with Maushold, Pelipper, Archaludon, Sneasler, and Sinistcha. So I think Rotom, Froslass feel pretty good here. As does Garchomp. I don't think we bring Incineroar here given that they are a rain team. It's probably King Gambit here just because we have Focus Sash and can get like a Sucker Punch off, for example. One thing we have to respect is Blastoise just being able to get a big Water Spout off. I think I'm okay going with Rotom, Froslass lead here, King Gambit in the back, Garchomp fourth. Empoleon would give me a switch in into a water type damage, but then Blastoise often carries Aura Sphere, so then I still kind of get dunked on by it. King Gambit gives me a Focus Sash user. It also means I could Sucker Punch Blastoise potentially before they get a Water Spout off, should they be that set. Okay. Blastoise, Maushold. It's okay with me. I think turn 1 I am down to go for Electro Web here. Mega Evolve. And honestly, just Blizzard. I don't think I need to set up Aurora Veil here immediately. Although the downside is now they can obviously bring out Pelipper and then change the weather, but I can just switch out Froslass this next turn, potentially, should I think that's coming my way. Okay, Mega Blastoise. I wouldn't be surprised if this were Follow Me Shell Smash. Yeah. Nice. Okay, we don't miss Electro Web, which is huge. Great. Yeah, and the idea here is to just get as much damage off on turn 1 as possible before they actually get to click that Shell Smash, right? Like, that's a lot of damage right away. And we get a freeze, which is, of course, one of the best things about this combo. Yeah, there's the Shell Smash. Cool. But crucially, Rotom has now dropped your speed, right? So that makes a big difference. It feels like a switch into Pelipper is imminent. I could Electro Web? Honestly, I think Electro Web Shadow Ball here is fine. Yep, Maushold switches. Okay, into Sinistcha. It's fine by me. Heal back up. And they protect. That makes a lot of sense. Nice play. So this turn it could have been an Aurora Veil, but I wanted to just like aggressively target down Blastoise. I think this was nicely done by my opponent. But to be honest, I'm happy just making the same play again here. Electro Web and just Shadow Ball. Because the reality with their team is it's like kind of all in on Blastoise. If Blastoise faints, I think we just win the game, right? You have Sinistcha, Maushold, and presumably Pelipper, and none of those really have that much offense once Blastoise faints. Okay, they go for Rage Powder. Makes sense. Get the Electro Web off here. It could have been Blizzard. with Froslass here, but I wanted to cover for Pelipper switching in, and like I didn't want to miss. And I'll like take the knockout here onto the Sinistcha. Yeah, perfect. I think the main thing is Shell Smash Blastoise is really scary if it's moving first, but with the speed control from Rotom, it's not nearly as scary. They clicked Water Spout, which is not going to be the move of choice here. But unfortunately, part of the downside with these Blastoise sets is that like your only means of offense really is Water Spout. It's like Water Spout, Shell Smash, Protect +1, right? So they bring out Pelipper, which can Wide Guard or Tailwind. I'm happy Electro Webbing here. I think what I don't want to happen is for them to protect, have Focus Sash on Pelipper, and then Tailwind, so I'm just going to double up on Pelipper here. Yeah, perfect. Choice Scarf Rotom was amazing into this, and as you can see here, it looks like they are indeed not protecting or wide guarding. Oh, it's not even Focus Sash. Interesting. Okay. But yeah, the idea with the double up there is just to cover for Sash plus Tailwind. Because I figured, once again, that's the one way I could lose this, in which it's like a world in which Blastoise actually gets to outpace me. So the big question is what their fourth move is, but when this Blastoise can't click like Water Spot at full health, it's just not very scary. So Electro Web being able to drop my opponent's speed is such a big deal. I might as well switch out, I guess, to conserve weather. But yeah, like, the thing with Mousehold Blastoise is, like, with us having spread damage, it's like the best way to get around Follow Me plus Shell Smash, right? And Rotom Blastoise is probably as hard of a counter as possible, or Rotom Froslass as good of a counter as I could have asked for into what they led with specifically. I don't think Incineroar would have helped us out very much in this matchup, and I think, yeah, Froslass being able to threaten with Shadow Ball in itself is really nice. They unfortunately missed Super Fang as well, but obviously it won't make too much of a difference. And we can just click Sucker Punch Electro Web. So that's one of the fun things about this Rotom Froslass duo. It can just be super oppressive, and like the combination of electric and dropping your opponent's speed and then ice type damage followed up by it is quite deadly. So every little bit of damage matters on Blastoise. I think the one turn where I could have played this game differently is when they switched in Sinistcha. Like it could have been Blizzard that turn. And then the turn I Shadow Balled into the Sinistcha slot, it also could have been Blizzard on Froslass there. But I was okay taking the guarantee damage, just a question of what their fourth attack is, because if you have something like Water Repulse, or just like a strong water type attack, and you can one-shot my Froslass, can get interesting. But either way, that was unfortunately a tough one for Blastoise to thrive in. We've got Blastoise, Garchomp, Sneasler, Talonflame, Pelipper, and Sinistcha here. So obviously I have to worry about the Tailwind plus Water Spout combos, which makes me want to lead King Gambit King Gambit Froslass, because I can Sucker Punch into Aurora Veil immediately with Rotom in the back. Garchomp is Rock Slide. I'm leaning Empoleon here, which gives me a free switch into Blastoise. Although they could have Aura Sphere, right? And then I actually don't do a lot of damage in return. So I actually don't know if this is the best pick. I think I'm going to go with our Garchomp here, actually. Yeah. If they had an Incineroar, I'd probably be more inclined to want to bring Empoleon, but there is no Incineroar. So the it's like probably not going to have Defiant activate. Or sorry, Competitive activate. Blastoise Talonflame. Cool. I am happy with that. And the reason I'm happy with that is because I pressure with Sucker Punch immediately. I'm happy to just Sucker Punch here, turn 1 Mega Evolve, and I think just Aurora Veil here. If I were my opponent, I would consider just like being like, hey, you have two things that like I can Water Spout. I'm just going to click Tailwind, outpace your Froslass, get the Water Spout off. And I would be okay with that outcome, because I would get a lot of damage onto Blastoise with Sucker Punch, around like 35, 40-ish%, before you get a Water Spout off. Then you get Spout off, but then I get the Aurora Veil up afterwards, so I'm pretty bulky going into the next couple of turns. Yep, there's Tailwind. Sucker Punch, beautiful. Oh, that even more than I expected. Nice. But it's Dark Pulse on turn 1. Okay. That definitely caught me off guard. But that's the beauty of Blastoise. You actually have a lot of good coverage. So nicely done. It's like Water Spell, Aura Sphere, Ice Beam, Dark Pulse, Protect, Fake Out. Those are all viable moves. Bring in Rotom, but I think it's tricky here because I'm playing a guessing game on Blastoise's coverage, which really stings. Leaning Protecting Gambit here to conserve Focus Sash, Electro Webbing right now. It's tough because I don't think I would have tried to predict that Dark Pulse on turn 1. Yeah. Flare Blitz. Okay. Yeah, Blastoise being able to just one-shot so many of my Pokemon under Tailwind is really tough. It does have Aura Sphere as well. So then it's like, does it also have Ice Beam? Because that was like the main guessing game I was curious about. I could go for a Sucker Punch here. And Rock Slide. I wouldn't be surprised if it actually worked quad offense Blastoise with no Protect or Fake Out. Let me go for Acrobatics. If they're targeting us with Acrobatics, actually makes me further think that is the case, but let's see. Yeah. Maybe they didn't have Ice Beam. So what that meant is I could have brought Garchomp out first over Rotom, but I didn't know which one of the two they would drop, potentially. Ugh. That stings. It's not good. I guess the one upside for that is now they have something that can be KO'd by Sucker Punch immediately. So, like, one slot is rendered somewhat useless, but I'm down quite low HP with both Pokemon already, so it's looking pretty rough. Bring out Pelipper. Last turn of Tailwind. Yeah, I mean, I'll just Protect with both this turn. Okay, so Blastoise says Protect, Aura Sphere, Dark Pulse, Water Spout. Normally I see Ice Beam over the Dark Pulse, which is why I was expecting turn 1 to be, like, pretty okay. And I can't cover for Water Spout and Dark Pulse simultaneously, I think. Hurricane into us. So now the question is whether or not you have Wide Guard, and then also, do you switch out? For example, Blastoise pivots out, Pelipper Wide Guards is one play, or Blastoise stays in, Pelipper Wide Guards is one option. Basically, assuming they had Wide Guard, what I could do is like Sucker Punch Blastoise and Dragon Claw Pelipper. The alternative would be Sucker Pelipper Rock Slide, but I think I'm going to try to read Wide Guard here. That they switch, okay. Into Sneasler, nice play. Yeah, and they didn't end up Wide Guarding. Maybe it was Tailwind here, though. Nope, just Hurricane, okay. Close combat from Sneasler probably would have knocked out Garchomp anyway, so I'm not sure I really had an out there, but the out would have been Sucker Punch, Dragon Claw, double up into Pelipper, and then they bring out Blastoise, I double Protect, and then I Sucker Punch Earthquake. But I was just down really, really behind, like, quickly in this game because my opponent had something that was faster than the Mega Froslass, right? They were able to set up Tailwind, and then had the surprise Dark Pulse as well, and I was covering for Water Spout. So it's like if I really wanted to set up screens, I could have gone Incineroar, Froslass lead, fake out Aurora Veil, but like then I'm bringing Incineroar into this matchup, which doesn't feel really good, so that doesn't really feel like it's necessarily the solution. If I bring Rotom Froslass, turn 1, they just click Tailwind Water Spout, and I just get absolutely demolished, right? And since they had Aura Sphere, it's not like the Empoleon would have done super well either. So to be honest, I think this it's actually just a pretty shaky matchup, because like Tailwind's really difficult to deny, and if I want to deny Tailwind, then it means bringing in Incineroar, and if I'm bringing in Incineroar, it means Blastoise can click Water Spout into Touch, which is pretty spooky. So yeah, the Dark Pulse on the Blastoise was like the absolute game changer there, because it gave them a way to just one-hit KO my Froslass. Rain here with Scizor, which is really cool. Pelipper, Dragonite, Basculegion, Archaludon, Scizor, Sinistcha. So, Rotom, Froslass, Garchomp, Kingambit seem all good. Empoleon can soak up damage here, but it's not really doing a ton in return. Although it is probably, it's going to be Mega Scizor on their end, right? So there's actually an argument for Incineroar just for Intimidate, because I can control the weather. Gambit is just much stronger into a Basculegion endgame with Sucker Punch. But I do think Scizor is probably going to just be brought out here, so I actually don't even hate something like Rotom, Froslass lead, Incin in the back, Garchomp fourth. Empoleon, I think, is just, it's not that great because it's a little bit passive. The main debate is whether or not we bring Kingambit, but I'm going to drop it for this one, and we'll see how it plays out. Baskin Archibald. Okay. They might double protect. It could be Scarf Basculegion. I could just Volt Switch here turn 1. Like, Volt Switch, Mega Aurora Veil is pretty guaranteed here. Oh, actually, not necessarily, right? If they end up being Scarf Basculegion, they can pivot into Pelipper after I Mega Evolve. So I actually don't hate Volt Switch Basculegion, just protect Froslass your turn 1. Yeah. Okay. Get the Volt Switch off. I mean, that could have just been Thunderbolt to KO it, but Basculegion could be sashed. I think I'm okay bringing in Garchomp here, because I want to save Incineroar for when Scizor inevitably hits the field. Yep, it is flip turn. That looks like Scarf adaptability to me, but having the, like, knowing Rotom is going to be faster is a big deal, so that's good. The question is whether or not Garchomp got doubled up into here. We'll have to see, but either way, this is fine. And then we've now baited Pelipper out, which is great, so I can Mega Evolve this next turn in either Aurora Veil or even Blizzard if I want. Okay, Flash Cannon. Nice. Ensign, Rotom in the back. Pelipper protecting here would make sense to me this turn. You could also Wide Guard. Or even just hard switch out into Scizor. I think those are all possibilities. I think I don't mind Mega Evolving, Aurora Veiling, and Earthquaking here. Pelipper ends up staying in, that's fine. I don't mind Earthquaking myself, just because, like, I'm going to have the Snow up and Aurora Veil up. Okay, it's going to be Wide Guard. Yeah, that's nice by them. But fine, right? Like, I get the Aurora Veil up still, which is big. Okay. If If I had Stomping there, I probably would have just kicked it into our Chaladon, but unfortunately we don't. You don't take that much. Dragon Pulse. Okay, cool. This works for me. Gives me a free switch in now, which I'm more than happy with. So let's go into Rotom. I could see Pelipper protecting now. Or switching out. I am going to Volt Switch and Blizzard here. Because I think they might not click Aurora Veil again, given that... Or sorry, Wide Guard again, given how I played previously. They are going to just go for it again. Okay, that's fine. It is Sash Pelly, yep. But now I get Instant in, so then next turn I can go for, like, Fake Out Shadow Ball. Although, honestly, I think Pelipper probably switches out this next turn. I just really want to conserve Incineroar. For Scizor. So I'm going to hard switch it back into Rotom here and click Blizzard. Yeah. Pelipper finally switches out. Great. That's what we were looking for. Into our Chaladon Perf. Aqua Jet into instant. Okay, great. And we get a big Blizzard off. That's so much damage into our Chaladon. Nice. This is why I was willing to fish for Blizzards pretty consistently, despite knowing that my opponent had Wide Guard, because like a single time I get Blizzard off is big, right? And if I click Blizzard, it means that the only way you can stop it is by clicking Wide Guard. And if Pelipper's clicking Wide Guards, that means it's not switching out, which means I still have weather control. And that in itself is a really big deal. So, now what? Our Chaladon can protect. Two turns of Aurora Veil left still. Like, I still expect a Scizor to come out at some point. Here, I don't mind Thunderbolting into Pelipper and just clicking Shadow Ball into our Chaladon. And they just Wide Guard. Great. I think this is just a double knockout, right? Pelipper faints. And here's Shadow Ball. Beautiful. And this is, in my opinion, like just one of the biggest downsides of our Chaladon in this format. Losing Assault Vest, which was by far one of its best items in Scarlet and Violet, makes it substantially weaker. It's still a good pick. And there was no Scizor. Wow. Okay. Kind of surprised, actually. But especially to see Dragonite as the last one. That was not what I would have expected. I'm happy to just Thunderbolt here and then pivot in Incineroar. Let's figure out if you are Inner Focus or Multiscale. Either way, Dragonite should not be able to win a 3v1, especially against the Snow duo. I was also kind of surprised to see Aqua Jet with the Basculegion. I thought that turn it could have been a flip turn instead. Because I thought Basculegion was actually the most threatening Pokemon on my opponent's team. Yeah, it's going to be Mega Dragonite. So it could be dual Mega, right, with Dragonite and Scizor. But unfortunately, I don't think Dragonite has enough in the tank now. Although this is probably then going to mean Special Dragonite, but then I can just bring out the Froslass and click Blizzard. We even get a Paralysis, but I don't think we needed that. Yeah, Thunder into Incineroar. Cool. Gets the pair onto us. No more Aurora Veil. I could theoretically get fully paralyzed here. I don't think I really need to switch in Froslass, honestly. Like, I'm happy to just Thunderbolt and Fake Out. Cool. 69 down to 34. Nice. Did 35%, so one more gets the KO. I do think it was still important to cover for Scizor in this game, which is why I wanted to make sure I protected Incineroar. Because I think, like, Bullet Punch is actually quite spooky. Nice. But yeah, the other play I could have gone for in the beginning of the game was just straight up Thunderbolting into Basculegion, because it looks like they were Choice Scarfed as well, so I could have just gotten the knockout onto that. Like, imagine if I just went Thunderbolt, Terra, and... not Terra. Mega Evolve, and then Aurora Veil on turn 1. That also probably would have been pretty good for us, but not bad. Feraligatr, very cool, with Hisu and Goodra as well. Incineroar, Sylveon, Farigiraf, Sneasler. So we have to worry about Trick Room, also like Dragon Dance, and just set up on Feraligatr. Against Farigiraf, Incineroar is going to be decent. King Gambit's not good here because we don't have Kowtow Cleave, it's Sucker Punch. I don't think Froslass or Rotom's not good. It's probably Garchomp, Froslass, Instant Empoleon in some order. Because like Choice Scarfs, they're pretty slow as is. I don't hate leading something like Froslass Instant with Empoleon and Garchomp in the back. The question is whether or not I want to lead Empoleon in case we think they're going to bring out Incin, but my argument for leading Incineroar is if they lead Feraligatr, which is their Mega Evolution, we get an Intimidate onto it immediately, which is big. And then I can pivot out into Empoleon immediately afterwards. One thing to think about is if we can knock out Sneasler, Empoleon's actually quite solid in this game as well. Graph Sneasler. Okay, I don't mind this too much, although I potentially activate White Herb on turn 1. See if they have it. They don't. That's actually a really big deal. Blizzard Darkest Lariat here is honestly kind of safe. Alternatively, I can expect them to like close combat and just switch Incineroar out, which I don't hate either. Like, I'm thinking Mega Evolve Blizzard here and actually pivoting Garchomp because I've got Rough Skin. So if you close combat into the Incineroar slot, you should be Focus Sash, given you're not White Herb. You break your own Focus Sash by close combating Garchomp, and then Blizzard just KOs you afterwards. And then once Sneasler goes down, Incineroar and Empoleon suddenly become so much stronger because then they don't have, like, burst damage with close combat into it. Looks like it's Admin Sneasler as well. Oh, that is actually quite tanky. I thought I would get the knockout here with Blizzard plus the chip damage, but evidently it's not the case. It's Poison Touch as well. Very neat. Trick Room, I guess? Yeah. Okay, that's fine. I would love to get an Aurora Veil up right now. Okay, going for Aurora Veil here and just Dragon Clawing Sneasler. Because Garchomp should be faster than Sneasler under Trick Room. Farigiraf shouldn't be able to knock out Garchomp. And then if I get Aurora Veil up, you shouldn't be that scary, even with Trick Room set up. Okay, they hard switch, which makes sense. Into Incineroar. It's fine. This is where it would have been nice to have Empoleon out on the field, but I'm okay with it. And Frig protects. Okay, great. I mean, that's one of turn of their Trick Room down, right? So I think the beauty of this team is by having Aurora Veil, even if Trick Room goes up, it's not that scary. But yeah, I think it was a little bit overzealous. I mean, because, okay, in my head, I was like, Sneasler will be faster than Froslass, and so assuming they're Jolly, you close combat, and then you have the special defense drop. But because I was faster, that kind of messed up with the way I was sequencing that first turn. But this is totally okay. So I wonder if they parting shot, because if they do, Empoleon could really be an amazing recipient of that. Either way, though, I don't hate double switching here. One thing to note is because we know that we're faster than Sneasler, if I get like a KO onto the Incineroar, Froslass in the late game can just come in and start spamming Blizzard again. So our goal is ideally to knock out Incin right now. That's interesting. Okay. Calm mind. Cool. Nice. That was not how I was expecting competitive to activate, but we will take it. I'm happy to just honestly Water Pulse now and Darkest Lariat into Farigiraf. Like, a calm-minded Farigiraf is not that scary because what are your moves going to be, right? Like Psychic, Hyper Voice. So we should be in an amazing spot right now. Cool. We just outpace them under Trick Room. They don't protect. Just get that knockout. Nice. I think this is the downside of just Calm Mind Farigiraf, which is like Incin is such a common Pokemon in the format, and that like you fold to it pretty easily. Okay, they do Parting Shot into the Incineroar. So I was hoping to see that into the Empoleon slot last turn, but this is still totally fine. Presumably Feraligatr comes out now. Yeah. So unfortunately, this Water Pulse not going to do the most amount of damage, but still not bad, honestly. Okay. They have to bring out Sneasler right now, you would guess. Because if you bring out Incin, you just activate competitive again. Trick Room is slowly slowing out, as is Snow. We've still got Garchomp in the back. I think the main thing I just want to be careful of is if this is Dragon Dance for Alligator, like having it Dragon Dance on me as Trick Room's ending, and then it sweeping me once Trick Room's over. So you just want to be careful about that. Last turn of Snow, last turn of Trick Room. I think I'm okay just going Water Pulse into Sneasler here and Parting Shot into Feraligatr. So Feraligatr's Mega Evolution ability basically allows it to have really powerful Dragon type attacks, but that's not really that scary, quite frankly. Oh, and they even let me... They don't click Fake Out there, which is huge. Like, I'm taking advantage of my opponent's Trick Room right now, right? I'm operating before them. Garchomp, honestly, I think I'm happy to sacrifice here because it's such low HP anyway. Nice. It is Swords Dance. Okay, that makes sense. Snow stops. Poison. Trick Room ends. So the cool thing is I can just pivot back out into my Incineroar now, right? And my Empoleon's at what, +3 special attack? Which is pretty sick as well. Like, I honestly here, I think I'm happy just clicking Water Pulse into Incineroar and Dragon Claw into Feraligatr. The question is also, what is Feraligatr's full moveset, right? Like, Swords Dance, Protect. I think one of Mega Feraligatr's struggles is like 4 moveslot syndrome, which is that you want like 3 different offensive attacks. Okay, Fake Out knocks out Garchomp, that's fine. Basically just like forces them to respect it here. Let's see if Feraligatr can one-shot Empoleon right now. Just Body Slam. Yeah, it's not going to do very much. Cool. Okay. No full para. Nice. Empoleon destroyed this game. It was so satisfying. Glad to showcase what it can do. Okay. No more Aurora Veil, but now we can just bring out Froslass once more. And we can just go for... Oops. Flash Cannon here. And might as well Aurora Veil here. I mainly want to see, like, I assume with Aurora Veil and Snow Up, we would survive. And I don't think, like, they have a way to knock out Empoleon. Yeah, they're just going to Body Slam into Froslass. Yeah. Cool. That in itself does so much. Very nice. Cool. And Flash Cannon, Blizzard here should deliver the finishing blow. Feraligatr was pretty neat. I think, unfortunately, you can just see that, like, even with Swords Dance, we got the parting shot off onto it with Aurora Veil. Like, you just don't really do enough damage, and it kind of limits it. Yeah. But this game, I'm really happy to showcase what the Empoleon on this team can do. Snarl, not the most common move on Incineroars these days, but obviously can be really good into, like, this matchup even specifically, right? But having competitive Activate Men let Empoleon just turn into an absolute monster. Ooh, we've got what feels like a hard Trick Room team with Farigiraf, Torkoal, Garganacl, what is probably going to be Mega Camerupt, King Gambit, Sneasler. If you wanted to set up Trick Room, you'll probably lead just Sneasler, King Gambit. Or sorry, Sneasler, Farigiraf. Sneasler, Farigiraf. We probably don't bring Rotom into this matchup. Garchomp hits everything for good damage, but Garganacl can wide guard, which is going to be a pretty big problem. My King Gambit here also doesn't have Kowtow Cleave, so it feels kind of weak. So I think it's probably going to be Instant, Empoleon, Garchomp, Froslass. Froslass lead lets me always set up Aurora Veil, which is nice. And I have Roar and Empoleon, so I'm actually down to lead that because I can just, like, force Farigiraf out with Roar turn 1. That's, like, you have Roar for a couple of reasons, right? One is to get rid of stat boost, but the other is to help against Trick Room. Great Garganacl, okay. Sulk here is obviously pretty spooky here. I'm mainly curious if they end up wide guarding. Like, I'm actually thinking about not Mega Evolving here because I don't think I need Aurora Veil immediately. And if Torkoal ends up coming out, then I can Mega Evolve the next turn. So I'm going to Shadow Ball and Roar for a Farigiraf turn 1. I'm hoping they wide guard here. Yeah, beautiful. So it's kind of a small nuanced thing, right? But it's like I don't need the Snow Up if I'm not clicking Aurora Veil or Blizzard. So I'll just get my free damage off with Shadow Ball here. Not bad. Beautiful. Okay. What we're really hoping is that Torkoal comes out now, because if Torkoal does come out, then I can just Mega Evolve. It's that into Camerupt. I mean, this is also fine, right? Like, now I just pressure with my damage. They might protect both of their Pokemon this next turn, so I think it's a decent opportunity to Mega Evolve and might as well set up Aurora Veil now. I can see Garganacl switching into... No, they shouldn't switch out into Torkoal this turn, actually. Got Instant and Garchomp in the back. Like, if I were them, I would be protecting the Camerupt or switching it back out. Just debating if I want to Mega Evolve Aurora Veil now. I don't hate it, personally. And I'll Water Pulse Garganacl because it could switch into Torkoal. But they stay in with both, which is fine. As long as we deny Trick Room, we should be in great shape here. So, Empoleon, you know, really cool Pokemon on this team to be able to do stuff like that. Camerupt does Mega Evolve. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Now I get Aurora Veil up. So, like, you could switch into Torkoal this next turn, but I think they might be a little bit too behind. But let's see. And we get the confusion from Water Pulse. That's nice. Oh, quite lucky as they hit themselves in confusion. My guess is that Torkoal is now coming in for the Garganacl slot. I'm happy to just Shadow Ball into Camerupt. Actually, you know, I think we don't want them to get a Recover off with Garganacl, so I'm fine Shadow Balling this slot and Water Pulsing into Camerupt. Even if you set the Sun up, like, it's fine. And they're going to switch Camerupt out, which is totally okay with me. Excuse me. Okay, perfect. Beautiful. They were, my guess is they were Salt carrying last turn, but hard to say for sure. And Hard Trick Room, unfortunately, gets really, really messed up by Roar, especially if you, like, index on just trying to set up Trick Room immediately. Draft in. Yeah, honestly, I think it's safe to just Shadow Ball here and Roar, because even if Feraligatr doesn't Trick Room, it doesn't matter. Like, the one way my opponent can win this is if we let them set up Trick Room, right? Because a Camerupt under Trick Room is actually quite deadly. But, yeah, they're just going to let me Shadow Ball them. Cool. Torkoal actually survives, which is pretty impressive. I thought I would get that knockout. But Torkoal moves before Feraligatr, so Feraligatr should be trying to set up Trick Room here once more. Yeah, and we force him out again. It's like, here, as long as Feraligatr doesn't click Trick Room, I'm okay, right? If you attack, sure, go for a Psychic, Psyshock, Hyper Voice, Twin Beam, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter, because it means then Trick Room doesn't go up. And as long as Trick Room doesn't go up, we're okay. I actually do probably want to switch Froslass out now, though, into Incineroar. And protect with Empoleon. If I'm my opponent now, I'm switching Torkoal out into Feraligatr and then protecting Camerupt. Oh, they don't switch. That's interesting. Okay. I mean, Instant either way works out really nicely here. Although they could have made that read and Earth powered into the Instant, which would have been kind of sick. Okay. Something here. I am happy to just Darkest Lariat into Torkoal. Water Pulse into... This game's actually not 100% over yet, so I just want to be a little bit careful. Basically, I could switch Froslass in, set up the Snow, and then just Water Pulse, try to KO Camerupt, which would win me the game. But they could switch Torkoal out into Feraligatr right now, which is what I thought they would do previously. I think I'm okay just clicking Darkest Lariat here and Water Pulsing here. Even in the sun, it's still pretty powerful. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is 55%, jeez. The confusion rate on this move has felt like 100% in my time using it. It's actually kind of nuts. Some KO Torkoal. Oh my goodness. Well, that was unfortunate. I feel like that probably takes away any chance they have of winning, but I don't know. We had Aurora Veil this whole time, so yeah, I felt like there was not much they really could have done, but had the opportunity at least to get a big Earth Power there to potentially get a knockout through it with a crit, right? Meganium Sand here. Volcarona, Basculegion, Meganium, Tyranitar, Sneasler, Excadrill. Okay, glad we get a Sand matchup here. I think it's important to feature that. Volcarona's a little bit spooky. I mean, I feel like Garchomp's probably the most important Pokemon in this matchup. I don't think we bring Empoleon. King Gambit's actually interesting because it has Focus Sash. Like, I get a low kick off or a Sucker Punch, which is a big deal. But then it means dropping Instant, which feels kind of weird given that they're so physically oriented. I also could just drop Rotom here. That might be the play. Like, Garchomp, Froslass, Instant Gambit. Although Rotom gives me like a Pokemon to Earthquake next too. I could see them leading Excadrill. gonna go... yeah, I think maybe I should have brought King Gambit here, just because I had low kick and could outspeed Tyranitar. Yeah, in retrospect, I think that would have been a smarter decision, but we'll see. Like, it's probably drop Rotom for it. Sneasler, Volcarona lead, though. Okay, interesting. Okay, Mega Evolve Aurora Veil here, turn 1's pretty safe. I assume they're gonna fake out in a Garchomp, but if you do, you break a potential Focus Sash, so I don't mind that. Might as well just click Rock Slide here. Gambit would not have been good against these two, so right now I'm not feeling super sad about having dropped it, but we'll see if it comes to bite me. So the other question is, what kind of Volcarona is this? Hey, there's Fake Out. Yep. Rough Skin. Aurora Veil goes up. So Garchomp should be pretty decent right now. Tailwind on their end. I mean, I'm fine with that, I guess. Leaning towards just protecting Froslass here and Earthquaking. These are protects. Okay. Could have Rock Slided there, but I wanted to try to KO Sneasler if I could. Still okay, though. I assume they'll just Heat Wave here. Struggle Bug, that's also fine. And to be honest, not knocking out Volk, you could argue, is actually beneficial because it denies them a free switch in immediately, which is good. It's a funny way for White Herb to activate, though. Okay. I mean, I could just Blizzard Rock Slide here. I'm thinking about it. Because if I get a double knockout, I just win the Weather War, right? Oh, I guess they'd be Mega Tyranitar, so they could like be deliberate on when to Mega Evolve with it. But I don't hate it. Close combat. Okay, we should survive a Struggle Bug or a Heat Wave here. Yeah, they are White Herb. It's fine. Ooh, I don't know if I survive Overheat, though. Oh, nice. Cool, so we get a double KO in return. You can see how clutch Aurora Veil was to protect Garchomp, right? I'm also curious if Overheat would have one-shot Froslass, because my guess is no. Double crit, I don't think either matters, because Rockslide would have just finished them off. Unless we miss. No, they're Chardy, but this should KO even with Chardy, given that single target. Given that, though, the crit may have potentially mattered. It also explains why they were willing to go protect the last turn with Sneasler and just attack with Volcarona, because they knew they would survive with Volk, which is really smart. I'm assuming it's just Excadrill in the back, but let's see. Yep, there's T-Tar. And there's Excadrill. Okay. So yeah, maybe, I don't know, like Gambit over Rotom I think would have been better for me from this spot. Last turn of Tailwind on their end. I can switch an Incineroar right now, get an Intimidate onto both of these, and then just protect with Garchomp. So the big thing for my opponent is when, this is Mega Tyranitar, so you can change the weather once more, right? So they should hold on to their Mega Evolution for next turn. But if they Mega Evolve this turn, I think I win the game. Because then, like, you lose Weather Control, and then I just bring Froslass back in. But yeah, it looks like they're not Mega Evolving, which is the correct play. Just Rock Slide, yep. D-Dance, okay. That makes this really interesting. That's actually very scary. one peters out. They're probably Sash on Excadrill, right? I've got Electro Web, and it's the last turn of Aurora Veil. Given that now they've Dragon Dance, Garchomp can't outpace Tyranitar, which is bad. So I'm thinking of Parting Shotting Tyranitar here and Rock Sliding because I don't want to Earthquake myself. Okay, they choose not to Mega Evolve. Although, ooh, this might be bad because now it's single target Rock Slide into me. Although Aurora Veil is up. I could flinch here too. I do survive. Okay, nice. But do I flinch is the big question. I don't. Okay, that's big. Because basically we're just trying to like negate their offense as much as possible right now. So I will bring out Rotom. They've done a really good job of holding onto the Mega Evolution with Tyranitar. Aurora Veil finally wears off. I think now I bring out Froslass, and then I immediately switch Froslass out into Incineroar once more to bait out the Mega Evolution. And I could Volt Switch to reset the weather. So Volt Switch into T-Tar, Hard Switch into Incineroar. I'm really hoping this is the turn, though, because I need to win the Weather War to win this. Oh, they didn't go for it. Nicely done. Although, I mean, it's not the end of the world, I suppose. They also shouldn't... That means they shouldn't Mega Evolve here. I think what they'll do is just click Rock Slide and maybe High Horsepower. I want to Volt Switch T-Tar, Fake Out to break Excadrill Sash. It's really good damage, honestly. This is such an interesting game. Like, they're waiting for the perfect time to Mega, and they've done a very good job of holding on to it. Another Dragon Dance. Like, it feels like this is the turn to Mega Evolve, potentially, right? Is my guess. If I were them, I think I would push the Mega Evolve button this turn. Because now you can just Rock Slide everything. So I'm going to switch, hoping that they Mega Evolve here. Yeah, they finally went for it, but I might be too late, honestly. Like, they did such a good job of playing around that dance. And I do wish I had King Gambit over Rotom, ultimately. Iron Head. Oh, did they miss? They missed Rotom, though. Whoa. Don't know if that would have gone to the knockout. My guess is probably yes. I also don't know if they would have KO'd Instant without the crit. My guess is also probably yes. Like, but that's obviously a big deal because now I get Froslass in. And I've set up the snow once. Like, I've won the Weather War, which is what I was looking for this whole time. I think I just double Blizzard here. Yeah. T-Tar might also just be faster than Rotom. I mean, it's +2, right? I'm Scarf +1. They are faster, yep. Both hang on. Do I flinch? Yeah. We had the game won there if I don't flinch. Oh, but we freeze Excadrill. Does it stay frozen? What a game this is. Okay. I mean, it's just double Blizzard. If Froslass doesn't flinch, or if they miss a Rock Slide on T-Tar, win. What a crazy game. What a crazy game. I think they played so well with Tyranitar, though, honestly. Alright, Froslass hangs on with 3 HP. If it avoids the flinch, Blizzard is a double knockout here, and we win. Oh my goodness. What a game that was, guys. What a game. My heart is pounding from that one. Absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. But yeah, I think obviously they missed the Rock Slide onto Rotom, which was quite unfortunate, right? Because if that had connected, it wouldn't have KO'd as you would have seen, but it would have done enough where another one would have knocked us out. And so that would have just probably won. But I mean, the reality is they did need to connect on like pretty much all their Rock Slides. And if they miss a single one, it gives us a pretty big opening. I still don't know if I like love how I played this game. Mainly just because I think King Gambit still probably was the right pick over the Rotom. Although, given that they were Dragon Dance T-Tar, it might not have been, because they would have been able to outpace and then just, like, Rock Slide plus high horsepower into the King Gambit. But either way, yeah, I think it's, like, the dynamic against Sand is so awkward because, like, we really want them to Mega Evolve, but my opponent, like, waited. They basically Mega Evolved at the perfect turn. Like, they did a phenomenal job not, like, getting to, yeah, like, going for it right away, which put me in a more compromising position. I was hoping to bait it out, never did, until it was, like, finally time for them to go for it. But, wow. Ooh, I like it. We've got Sun plus Trick Room. Charizard, Farigiraf, Torkoal, Garchomp, Venusaur, Incineroar. So, Mega Evolutions, the way Speed Orders Mega Evolution works is you Mega Evolve in order of speed. So since Froslass is faster than Charizard here, if I were to Mega Evolve, I would go first, right? Charizard Venusaur is going to be the main lead from there, and we really have to watch out for, but we also have to respect something like a Farigiraf instant lead, setting up Trick Room. That could be quite scary. This is probably not the right matchup for Empoleon, but I think King Gambit is intriguing. No, but we don't have Kowtow Cleave, actually, which makes it substantially weaker. So it's actually probably Instant Garchomp, Rotom, Froslass. Froslass, Garchomp lead, Rotom, Instant in the back is what I'm thinking. But I do think this makes me quite weak to Trick Room. Like, I could have brought Empoleon just to Roar for the potential Trick Room lead. Because it would have been actually decent into Instant Torkoal. Or sorry, Instant Farig Torkoal. But they go Farig Venusaur, interesting. Okay. I mean, if I'm my opponent, I'm honestly just, like, clicking Protect turn 1 with Venusaur and Trick Rooming with Farigiraf. To survive Trick Room, I'm actually thinking of going Rock Slide here, Mega, and then Aurora Veil. Rock Slide gives me the flinch chance. And they actually switch Venu out. Okay, that's fine. Into Incineroar. Okay. So then my question is whether or not they brought Torkoal. Because you would expect Charizard as the 4th, right? But getting Aurora Veil up here should be a really big deal. Because with White Orb, Garchomp should actually be quite difficult for them to deal with. And Rock Slide also gives me a flinch chance here, although, honestly, like, I would prefer them to... Well, I mean, I would obviously prefer them to, like, not set up Trick Room. Oh, we missed Ferg, though. Okay. So it doesn't even really matter. Good damage on an Instant. Trick Room going up now, I suppose. Yep. So I could double protect this turn. Stall to turn a Trick Room. I think I'm okay with that. The question is whether or not they like hard switch expecting me to double protect, but they don't, which is really good. Basically, when you're using Trick Room, one thing you could do, given that they have Fake Out pressure on the field with Incineroar, say, I'm going to switch Incineroar out immediately, knowing you're going to want to protect to avoid my Fake Out. Parting Shot into Garchomp. Yeah, that's fine. Psychic, okay. Given that I have Aurora Veil up, like, this next turn, I think I can survive, like, damage from their end. The question is who we think they're going to go into. They could also, like, Flare Blitz, Darkest Lariat, or double up into Froslass right now. For example, I could switch Froslass out into Rotom Earthquake right now. Or just Rock Slide Blizzard. Which I don't hate. Given that I have Aurora Veil up. And they hard switch. That works for me. Ah, it is Torkoal. Okay. So that was my main question. They dropped Charizard, which I actually think is a super cool decision here. And they will get the one-hit knockout on Froslass. That's the one way they could have KO'd Froslass this turn. Very neat. So maybe that could have been an instant switch in this turn, but I honestly think my Garchomp is still really well positioned to win this game. Yeah, Rock Slide just does a lot. I can bring out Incineroar now. If I'm my opponent, I'm probably clicking Parting Shot into Garchomp. Protect Torkoal, maybe. I would like to Earthquake here. Parting Shot into the Instant slot. Because I don't want to Earthquake my own Incineroar. Yep. They actually just hard switch, which is fine. Could be Venu coming out, but it is going to be Frigoraph. Great. It is Earth Power Torkoal. Okay. But it's not the most amount of damage. It's fine. Cool. This is where White Herb just makes such a big difference, right? By having the White Herb, Garchomp's been able to, like, spam Earthquake this game and Rock Slides without having to deal with the attack drop, which is so nice. Okay, big Earthquake. Very nice. Lefty's Frig, that's fine. Do have to be a little bit careful here. Last turn of Trick Room. I would like to Dragon Claw Frigoraph right now. Switch Rotom back out into Incineroar. So what I actually don't want to do right now is knock out Torkoal, because if I knock out Torkoal, it gives my opponent a free switch in right as Trick Room ends, which means they can bring out Venusaur, and I'd rather have them have two slow Pokemon out on the field. Mother Ball, but into the Garchomp slot. Nice play. Good double up. Okay. But we get a big Dragon Claw off here. Very nice. So we've seen Trick Room Psychic. Question is what else they're running on the Frigoraph. If I'm my opponent now, I'm switching Torkoal out into Incineroar, protecting Frigoraph. But they could also just set up Trick Room right now, which is a little bit spooky, right? So one play I could make is Rock Slide Darkest Lariat into Frigoraph. That's generally pretty safe. The thing is, then they get Intimidate off and they get to bring Venusaur out the next turn, which I don't love. 2 turns of Sunlight left. I went for Rock Slide Lariat, but to be honest, I think I would have liked, yeah, switching into Rotom. Yeah. The good thing is I think Instant is still really well matched into my opponent's team. This is where hitting that Rock Slide earlier into Feraligatr would have been really nice. I think missing it means that they basically have like an extra life to work with, which is a little unfortunate. Presumably Fake Out into the Incineroar slot now, and then Trick Room, right? I think I'm just gonna Rock Slide here. Darkest Lariat. Flinch here probably just wins us the game. Oh, they didn't Trick Room. Okay, I'll take that. I will take that. They're also faster than Instant, so it's good to confirm that. Probably bring out... If I were them, I bring Venu out and I switch Ferrig into Torkoal. I'd probably, like, try to knock out Garchomp here. So I want to protect Garchomp. Flare Blitz, potentially. Or Parting Shot. I don't hate Protect Parting Shot. The question is whether or not Venusaur has, like... Ah, it's Mega Venusaur. That's really cool. Okay. Interesting. Nice play. Sludge Bomb into Instant, too. And Hyper Voice, although I should survive this. But it's looking pretty scary now that they got that much damage onto us. So basically, the main really scary thing right now is I might have to click Blizzard outside of Snow with Rotom. Which I really hate. But I might not have any better alternative. Yeah, I'm thinking of just going for Earthquake here into Blizzard. Curious what the grass type attack is on Venusaur, because with this Mega Venusaur, I normally expect like Sludge Bomb. I wouldn't be surprised if it were Mega Charizard X, by the way. That would explain this team comp a lot more as well. Which is a super cool bluff. Frig does have Protect, okay. Blizzard. Does hit the Venu. It's so pokey. Very impressive. Very, very impressive, okay? Beach Seed? Giga Drain. Survive on 3, though. I think I need to get rid of this Intimidate, and I don't think they're angling to set up Trick Room, so I can leverage that to my advantage. But it's just scary, because I'm relying on very inaccurate Blizzards, right? Like, misses can just cost me at any given point. And they could set up Trick Room this turn, which would be a really smart play. Really cool team, though. I think I love the Mega Charizard bluff into regular Venusaur for it to be Mega Venusaur. It's so smart. Venusaur protects it. That could be them setting up Trick Room here, honestly. Although if they set up Trick Room, it is interesting because my Incineroar then becomes the fastest Pokemon under Trick Room. Yeah, they did. The thing is, I probably just lose to Torkoal now, right? That's what I'm thinking. Because Instant and Garchomp are both... The only way I could beat Torkoal is if I somehow knocked out both of these. while not losing either Pokemon. Seems unlikely, right? Unless Torkoal wasn't carrying Eruption. I could also Parting Shot out here this turn, Blizzard. So then I could fake out Torkoal. I don't hate that. Basically, what I'm thinking is I need Incineroar out on the field to fake out into Torkoal for a turn. Here I could have gone Flare Blitz Blizzard, get a double knockout, but then I think I just lose to Torkoal. But maybe this still isn't enough. I mean, I first need to hit the Blizzard here onto Frig. Yeah, we missed, but like we've been lucky enough to hit so many as was, to be honest, so can't be too upset about that. Really interesting game. I think the Torkoal switch in Froslass turn is the one I'm going to have the biggest regrets on, because I could have just switched Froslass out into Incin that turn. That's, I think, the main turn to point towards. Returns to Trick Room. My only hope would be for them to, like, throw the game by switching out for some reason. What they should do is just Hyper Voice, Sludge Bomb, Incin, and that would always win the game for them. But it was really smart of them to not click Trick Room earlier and then click it again later on in the match. Like, I think my opponent just... I really like how they played, and, like, I think our team, honestly, was totally fine into it. I just needed to switch out the Froslass that turn. I just, like, didn't think I would get dunked on by Flare Blitz. And I was like, I have the Snow set up. Like, surely it's Charizard, right, as your fourth Pokemon. But I should have considered the possibility of, like, the Charizard Venusaur bluff, which was really, really cool. So, well done. But yeah, I think we definitely have the tools to win this. Because... a Froslass and Rotom like gets to spam Blizzard. Like, basically, we needed to not let a second Trick Room go up in this game. And then the turn where they protected Farigiraf, switched in Instinct, could have so easily been me bringing out Rotom and Earthquaking there, and that would have allowed me to Earthquake Thunderbolt the subsequent turn into the Farigiraf slot. So, super close game, but I think, yeah, could have made some better plays throughout all of it. And I think I should have just thought more about Torkoal as the switch in there and Mega Venusaur rather than indexing on, like, thinking it was safe that turn because I had Aurora Veil set up. Because if I just switched an Instant there, they would have lost so much momentum, right? And Garchomp was on the field kind of just dishing out consistent damage across the board. But it is a good reminder that when you see Charizard and Venusaur in team preview, don't just assume it's going to be Charizard Y and regular Venusaur. This is a fun team. There's a Belly Bolt, Sinistcha, Incin, Floette, Basket Legion. Kind of intrigued by Empoleon here, given the Incineroar and the Floette. I don't think I want Garchomp. Like, I guess Garchomp's argument would be for Belly Bolt. It's actually not bad. It's just quite bad into Floette, but everything else it's, like, solid into. But, like, I don't hate leading Froslass here with King Gambit. Froslass Rotom also works. I think Froslass Rotom's actually okay. Yeah, King Gambit, Empoleon. I don't, love Incineroar here. The debate is just whether or not I want Garchomp, because I think it gives me a better matchup into the Belly Bolt, which is not a sentence I ever thought I'd be saying, but... Let's see. Sneasler, Floette, okay. It's fine with me. I'm down to just rip turn one here, click Aurora Veil. Blizzard. Can't fake out Froslass, which is big. So I guarantee get Aurora Veil up. Yep. Oh, interesting. They don't even click fake out here. Okay, so we get a big Blizzard off to start. And we get a freeze, which is part of the beauty of being able to click Flash Blizzard. And they do stay frozen immediately. So now we are quite tanky. Calm Mind. Moonblast. It is Calm Mind. Okay. I actually would have probably... It would have been better for us to have got a Click Blizzard there with Froslass instead. But I still can't complain about that outcome too much, right? Like... So here's the interesting thing. I think if you're my opponent now, you might want to switch out into Incineroar to take the Blizzards. So I actually think I might want to reposition Froslass into Empoleon. We saw the speed order, which is that Sneasler's faster than Froslass. Which means... Oh, actually, no. What it means is I should switch Rotom out if I want to get a boost. Yeah, so I'm going to Blizzard here, and I'm actually going to hard switch Rotom into Empoleon. And so what I'm hoping for is like Rotom switches into Empoleon, then Sneasler switches out into Incineroar, thus activating competitive. But let's see. Yeah, they just end up staying in. That's fine. Like, we still do a ton of damage to Floette there, right? And had they made the switch, I would have punished them ultra heavily. But they do get the immediate thaw. Okay, I was feeling kind of bad for a second. It's actually draining Kiss into Empoleon, but with the Aurora Veil and the resistance, I don't take much damage at all, so that's really nice. And we do have Roar in this Empoleon, so I can get rid of Floette's boost this next turn if I want by just protecting Froslass and Roaring, which I honestly might. Mainly curious what the rest of Sneasler's moves were, because it's like... Ooh, Belly Bolt makes an appearance. Okay, that's neat. I'm down to just Blizzard here. Question is whether or not I Roar. I think protecting Empoleon here is also okay. I don't hate clicking Roar here just because I have the Aurora Veil up, and what I don't want to happen... Okay, yeah, perfect. So, I figured they might protect here. Roar now just gets rid of your boosts, right? So, Floette's a lot less scary. What I didn't want to do is click Flash Cannon, but then have them Draining Kiss and heal up a lot against my Froslass. So we do a lot to Belly Bolt there. Nice. Charge Beam. Okay. But with the Aurora Veil up, Empoleon's so tanky here. It would give me great joy if their last Pokemon were Incineroar, and now we Roar and force it out. So let's see. Nope, it's actually Basque Legion. Okay. Fine by me. Belly Bolt's lefties. Okay. Got +1 special attack. Got King Gambit and Rotom in the back. Turns up Aurora Veil. I don't mind Blizzarding here because honestly Belly Bolt's the bigger threat to me right now. And I don't mind switching Empoleon onto Rotom. And the reason I'm Blizzarding is because if this is not Scarfed Basque, or they could just switch out into Floette, like either option means I can't KO them with Shadow Ball, and yeah, they flip turn here. Beautiful. Perfect. And I should be in a winning position at this point, I think, because I can just keep clicking Blizzard. That does so much damage, oh my gosh. Okay, it's going to be Parabolic Charge, which is pretty cool, but they end up knocking out their own Floette, which is less than ideal. And given that it looks like it's Choice Scarf Basque Legion, you're going to bring that out, and then I can just go for... I get Thunderbolt. I actually don't know how much bulk you need to survive Scarf Thunderbolt. Because they should lock into Last Respects at this point. Oh, although I have King Gambit with Sucker Punch anyway, I suppose, right? Last turn of Snow. Yeah, I can switch an Empoleon here. And just Thunderbolt into Basculegion. We know your Choice Scarf on Basculegion because you outsped Froslass earlier, so you can't protect here. Yep. Get Thunderbolt off. Does manage to survive. Nice. We get a Paralysis, but I was going to Sucker Punch it with King Gambit next turn anyway. And they actually end up getting fully paralyzed, unfortunately. Empoleon survived the turn. So what would have likely happened is, you know, I don't get the knockout. They KO me with Last Respects. I bring out King Gambit. I Sucker Punch KO the Basculegion. And then it'll come to an end game where essentially I'll be able to get a Sucker Punch and a Blizzard off into Belly Bolt to win the game. They're just going to keep clicking Parabolic Charge, I assume. I am fine losing Empoleon here. We can just sacrifice it. Thunderbolt. But yeah, that's why I wasn't sure whether or not I would actually get the knockout onto Basculegion. And they actually went for Aqua Jet into Empoleon. Probably would have been better if they targeted Rotom. Question is whether or not that would have gotten a knockout. I'm not sure it does. But then the reality is I think Froslass Gambit should always win this end game. Get a Water Pulse off. Pretty lucky with this game with all the status conditions and whatnot. But I don't think I necessarily needed any of them. They just made the game easier to play. Because the paralysis on Basculegion doesn't make a difference in that I still would have been faster anyway, right? And yeah, Rotom definitely wouldn't have fainted to an Aqua Jet there, so... Just waiting for the free switch in to Froslass and Gambit here. Cool team, though. Like, Belly Bolt is actually pretty impressive, low-key. Because it kept just soaking up damage and boosting up its stats, right? It managed to survive the turn. Okay, impressive. But I'm just waiting to bring out Froslass. Unfortunately, Belly Bolt just KOs itself. Oh, RIP. I wish we could have, like, had a cleaner game there. Because, yeah, definitely would have been closer. But I feel like in general, we had a pretty good matchup and being able to, like, neutralize Floette. Like, it only got a Calm Mind off and one Draining Kiss off, right? Which made our lives easier. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. So thank you so much, as always, for joining me. Super fun to be able to feature these brand new Mega Evolutions. And I do think Mega Froslass is going to be a staple in this format. I think that the moveset will probably stay somewhat, you know, similar, but I expect people to train it in all kinds of different ways. Going from, you know, this set, which is max speed, max special attack, to sets with potentially almost no speed, no special attack, and just a ton in bulk, really capitalizing off of Aurora Veil. So I'm eager to see how people train this Pokemon specifically as the format develops. But that's going to be it for this one. So thank you so much for joining me. My name's Aaron CybertronVGC. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, I would appreciate if you consider leaving a like on the video or subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you all next time. All right, peace.